Okay, for anybody and everybody, if you would, just for the moment being, let's just go ahead and if we can mute the microphones. And I'll go ahead and start the meeting, and we'll get down to that portion where if there's any interaction from other folks, we'll try to highlight who needs to unmute and then mute, okay? So we'll call the meeting to order. It's actually 6:08. I appreciate very much everybody taking the time, the effort to do this. This is the April 20th Board of Commissioners meeting. It's the first virtual meeting as far as I know. And we have in attendance all 5 commissioners. We have our county attorney. I have with me off to the left of yours, the right of my screen is Tracy Patrick, who is recording the minutes and everything. So if we need to take a minute or pause to make sure she gets what she needs, we'll do that. What I'd like to do is for any non-commissioner attorney, if you could, at the bottom of the screen, there's an option, there's a chat box there. Hey, Chris, are we recording?
Yes, sir, I'm recording. You don't have to worry about it on your side.
Thank you very much. I need to make sure that this is being recorded. I'm sorry. So what I'd like to do, though, is if you're just attending or participating in the meeting, at the chat box at your leisure here in the next few minutes, just type in your name and the address. And if you choose or if you desire to speak, make a comment. We have 2 opportunities in this meeting for statements and remarks. I'd like if you'd go ahead and just put your name and your address and whether you'd like to make a comment. It will facilitate that a lot easier when we get to that point. We'll have to slow down, okay? So first order of business tonight is our approval of minutes. We have 2 meetings that transpired. One was on February 24th. And as hard as it is, February 24th seems like about 6 months ago. But we had a meeting. Commissioner Kirk, you were not present at this one. So each of the other commissioners, or all 5 commissioners, actually have a copy of our minutes. And what I'd like for us to do first is to go ahead and entertain a motion to accept those minutes or approve those minutes for the record. And I'll take that motion as soon as you can. When you decide to do it, what I'll ask you to do, we all know our order 1 through 5. If you'll just unmute, then mute after you do that. And hopefully we can make this go pretty easy, okay? So with that, I'll open the floor up for approval of those minutes.
So moved, Chairman.
Second.
Tripp's in there second, I think. Tripp,
Yes.
can you approve those?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then Derek. Your mic's muted, Derek.
Yes, sorry.
Thank you very much. All right, so we have those minutes approved. And I'm going to assume that Commissioner Kirk abstained from that. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, I abstain.
Thank you. We had minutes from the meeting of March the 2nd. And on this one, Commissioner Bettis, you were absent for this meeting, so this will be a vote to approve the minutes, starting with Commissioner Strickland.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes.
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 Y'all are so much better at this than I am. That is great. So I have those minutes approved. So we had a motion to approve those minutes. And did you all, you did understand you're approving the motion to approve those minutes? Is that correct? Okay. We'll go ahead and accept that because I have it on recording here. Our next item is business involving guests. Folks, there are none. chairman's report. All I want to do is I want to let everybody know that the county received 2 2020 ambulances this week. Brand new, top of the line. They're beautiful. They're equipped and will be in service here very shortly. It's a huge testament to the county and our commitment towards our emergency medical service to put those in. And I will forward you all pictures of those, but they're, we're waiting radios, but aside from that, everything's going to be in place here very shortly. The other thing I want to do, this is not new, and I can share this with you, Tracy, later, but what we have in place at this moment, just to bring everybody up to speed on this, is there's still a shelter in place order from our governor until April 30th. The state of emergency runs until May 13th. Our complex currently is closed to the public until May 4th. May 4th is a Monday. We will be open for business should nothing change between now and then. My guess is about a week from now, we'll have a better view. We'll know more and we'll respond. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm having to admit other members. I just realized there was about 3 more here. There we go. So I just want to make sure that everybody's still aware of where the county is with services that are available. We've done and for those folks just joining us, if you'll look in the bottom left corner of your screen at the microphone icon and just mute that, please. I'm still hearing if we, oh, wait a minute. Did she join? Okay, we're good. Thank you very much, y'all. I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of where we are currently with our status as far as our government services. Okay, this is where I'm going to ask Thomas and Chris to help me out, and I'm going to do my very best, folks. I have 13. I'm going to go back here real quick. We're going to attempt to entertain comments, statements from those that are on board here. We want to make sure that everybody has their chance to speak. I will ask that you kind of adhere very closely to a 3-minute maximum. This will only be for those agenda items. And when we speak, just be mindful. This is, it picks up background noise. There's always going to be stuff behind you. So if there are things going on or whatever, just appreciate that, you know, we're trying to fit all that in. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I've got, let's see, I've got about 13 or 14 people that have, let's see, just listen. Okay, y'all give me a second. I want to make sure that for anybody that would like to make a comment, I've got Jennifer. We'll get to you, Jennifer. I got Ruth Ann and Drago Tasanovic. I'll come back to all of you. I just want to make sure I know who's going to speak here so that we can do this. Okay. All right. What I'd like to do is open the floor first to Jennifer Ivy, if she's there. Jennifer, you on with us?
I am.
Go ahead and take the floor, Jennifer.
I just wanted to say that I appreciate your support of the library as we navigate the brave new virtual world of library resources for people. I believe that the proclamation for National Library Week was on the agenda for tonight, and National Library Week is the 19th to the 25th, where we celebrate all things library and library world. And we're doing a lot of things on our Facebook pages, on our website. We've opened up a digital library card for those who didn't already have a library card, so that they can access our digital resources now without having to have a physical library card. And other library resources and databases that are available on our website have opened up their capacity for use to users now, because people aren't able to go into the physical library building. So even though we're not open, we're still there providing resources online, and everybody's checking their email every day. So if you have any local library questions, please don't hesitate to email me at my work email address. I'm always there. So thank you all very much for your continued support of libraries during this time.
Thank you, Jennifer. We appreciate that. And we will get to an agenda item a little bit later for you too, okay? Okay. Bruce, did you, was there something, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to, no, I'm sorry, never mind. I've got Ruth Ann Tasanovich. Would you like to speak?
I'm looking for my picture here.
No, you're there. I see you. We can hear you. Very
Okay.
good.
Well, thank you for having this historic meeting. This is my first Zoom meeting, so, but I did watch the Saturday Night Live skit, so I hope I'm not as bad as the people on their Zoom skit. But I wanted to comment on item number 8, which was the bid for the courthouse roof replacement. And I'm very happy that that you're doing that replacement. I think we need to preserve that historic courthouse. I saw the 3 bids, and I just wanted to give Bone Dry my recommendation, because they did our house probably in 2015, and we have a very complex roof. I know it's just a private residence, but hips, gutters, I'm not gutters, but valleys, all kinds of crazy things, and they were very professional, and they did an excellent job. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Okay. All right. Is there anybody else that I've missed that would like to make a comment on any agenda item at this point? All right. God, I say it online too. Sorry. Okay. We're going to move on with, I've been accused of saying all right too much. Not Matthew McConaughey, but I know I got my quirks here. Item number 5 on our agenda is we're into the old business. So these items were actually brought up at our last meeting. We're going to try to come back and capture some of them. The first is a bit of housekeeping, and it's our 2019 budget amendments. So when we establish a budget, we have items that, should it change throughout the year, we have to amend our budget to reflect money that may be moved to address. Auditors come in and they look at it, and we need to make sure that there's a paper trail, that they know what we've done to address an expenditure or a revenue source. So at this point, our commissioners have in front of them, or they have a copy of the agenda items. This was agenda item number 5. And I can go through them. Should any commissioner have a question about any of them, I will tell you that the first item on there was changed. The amount was changed because originally the grant was offered to Madison County in the amount of $19,692.87. They reduced the amount that they offered Madison County. That amount is the amount of labor that they agreed to reimburse. So they still paid for the disposition or the disposal of all of the tires, but they did not cover some of the labor that was involved. It is still a huge savings to our county that the amount was approved. So you see $14,173.96. Those few items at the top are all sources of revenue that came to the county that were not accounted for or expected. We see a rec department and special events item that's there. That's a revenue item. And then at the lower half of the page, you see those revenue expenditures that we had to account for properly in the line item that they need to be paid from or deposited to. So there are these items, and there's a second page that contains the Madison County Sheriff's Office 2019 state seizure amendment, and what is reflected: a projected revenue of $8,000, a projected expenditure of $8,000. Well, the actual numbers were, the actual revenues were $39,150 in the seized fund, and they spent $89,348. The difference between those two amounts was what was on hand prior to this year's budget. So that is, again, just accounting for the money that came in and went out of the seized funds. Are there, well, so I guess I need an amendment or a motion rather to approve, disapprove, otherwise the amendments as they were presented, and then we can discuss that with the commissioner. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the budget 2019 budget amendments that were dated 3/2/2020.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
I have Derek Doster on the first one. Who was the second?
Tripp.
I have Tripp, Commissioner Strickland. Okay. Is there any discussion on these items?
Just for clarification, we had the additional 50,000 in the account. We brought in 39 and we spent 89 basically. So at the end of this action item, there'll be zero balance in that account.
So in theory, that is correct. That is correct. That is to close out 2019. So in 2020, and it's a very valid point that I mentioned to you that the state is considering, when they convene, an amendment to take the revenue in the seized funds account for every county in the state of Georgia. And I'm not 100% sure, but the amendment has to do with applying those funds, not to the county itself. They're looking to take those funds and apply. Let me back up. It may be to the county, but it's not for the sheriff's office to determine the dispensation of those funds. There may be an amendment that is approved that reallocates those funds for child services, as I understand it. That is to be determined once the legislature reconvenes. But to your point, to zero out 2019, that is 100% correct what you just stated. It'll set the balance at zero at the close of 2019.
Mr. Chairman, also the road department, the reimbursement for pipe and gravel, since that's a large number, 19,902, can you explain that a little further?
I can, in coordination with our auditors. our county has made available to citizens within the county certain services. And our auditor has worked with us to redefine how those funds must be accounted for. If the county offers a service that was offered to it tax exempt, then if we offer that to a private citizen, we have to count for those funds. And so this amount that you see, $19,902, is an amount that was agreed upon by our auditor that must be amended and accounted for. Now, I will tell you that in 2020, we're operating by a different standard in coordination and with the approval of our auditors to account for the disbursement. Please appreciate that if the county receives funds from SPLOST, we can expend it for certain things, but if we offer that to a private citizen, then we're now having to account for the taxable amount of that service. And so this is an amount that was provided by our auditor that we must amend at least to close out 2019, and a new measure is put in place for 2020 to account for any service that's offered by our county to private citizens. We still perform services, but if it's an expense that was covered by SPLOST or those funds, we have to count for the tax due on those. So this amount was approved and has been confirmed by our auditors as being acceptable as an amendment. Moving forward, we've had to adapt or alter the way we account for that. Alter in that we're going to have to charge, or there is an extra charge for our private citizens when using government procured supplies or the capital outlay for that. So this amount was for that amount in 2019 though. I don't know if I made that clear or made it muddier.
Yeah, I think I understand it. Thank you.
Any other questions on that? So I've got a motion and a second to approve the 2019 budget amendments dated March the 2nd, 2020.
Yes.
Any further discussion on that? She's quick. She's always quick. Okay, I'm going to go back to Commissioner Bettis. We'll start with you, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Very good. I know we're not sitting together, but y'all do me proud just knowing where you sat normally. So that's good. So, all right, on to item 6. This item is not for a vote. This is a discussion. The potential home rule amendment that each commissioner has to section 19 of the charter. As it reads currently, and I know each of you has a copy of this, and it states that no purchase or purchase contracts of any nature in excess of $100 $100. The attempt here is to bring our charter in line with reality and how we spend money and how our current purchasing policy reflects how we do business. You will have as your next item number 7 on the agenda, to consider amendments of the purchasing policy. The point here is to set in motion a change in our charter that more closely realigns with what our actual purchasing policy is. And what I'd like to do, and I hope I'm not catching Mike off guard here, is Mike Pruitt, our county attorney, drafted a resolution, but it must go through a protocol of several months of advertisement and voting, a vote on this. But I'd like to ask Mike, if you would just clarify what our intent with the home rule amendment is.
Certainly. So the current charter, section 19, has never been changed since 1965, and it caps the chairman's authority to make purchases or enter into contracts without board approval at $100. So we're trying to just get that into some modern dollar terms. The way I drafted it is based on the way the Clark County School District recently changed theirs for the superintendent's spending authority. Senator Ginn actually made the suggestion to establish a range. Of course, he's also our Madison County Senator, so I figured that would go through fine. So what this would do is allow the board to set the chairman's authority anywhere it wishes within the range that's within that home rule amendment. What's in there now is somewhere between 10,000 and 100,000. That, again, that's just what was in the Clark County School Board one. You may want to set different thresholds, but that allows you to move it up and down with just a simple board vote without having to go through this home rule amendment process, which is, as you know, your charter is passed by the state legislature, normally is amended by the state legislature, but there are a lot of things you could amend by what's called home rule under the Georgia Constitution, and this is one of them. So to do that, we have to have 2 readings. It has to be on the agenda of 2 regular meetings. At some point before the second meeting, it has to run in the paper 3 times. I think you also have the notice there in front of you that would run in the paper. It says that a copy of the home rule amendments in the clerk's office for examination by the public. So we go through that, and then at your final vote, you vote twice. You vote to do a first adoption at 1 regular meeting, and then your final adoption at the second regular meeting. And that's done. I send a copy of it to the Secretary of State's office, and it's just as if the legislature had done it themselves.
So with that, again, this is a discussion item. There's no vote to be taken, but would anybody at this point, and the commissioners are certainly welcome and free to contact Mike on any concern or any questions on this, but is there anything that the board would feel needed to be addressed tonight with respect to a home rule amendment? Is there any questions or doubt or of the need to do this?
No doubt here, but I will put it on the lesson number. It's out, I would think.
And Commissioner Allen, I don't know if you have a phone and a computer on, but if you got both of them on, sometimes it gives us some bleed over.
I got you. I do have both.
Okay.
I was just saying that I would like to think on the 10,000 and 100,000. Not saying it's bad or good, either one. I just been trying to think about that and if, what it would do, if you, and where that number would sit, is what I'd have to think about.
And certainly when we meet for our next meeting, our first meeting of next month, most likely will be a virtual meeting. And those are the items that can be discussed. And Mike, I don't know as far as the timeline. You've got you mentioned the 2 meetings, so at some point there will have to be a decision on what those amounts are, and then we'll have to run an advertisement. you're saying you stated 3 consecutive times, is that correct?
That's right. It's got to run 3 consecutive times. So ideally, maybe the commissioners could set the dollar amounts and any other changes we want to make. We could then start the ad running, do the first adoption at the next regular meeting after that, and the second adoption at the next regular meeting after that. Now, you could start the ad after the first regular meeting where you adopt it, so long as we can meet the publication deadlines and all that to get it published 3 times before the next regular meeting. Sometimes that's possible, and sometimes it's kind of close.
Okay. So what I'd ask the board to do then is, prior to our next meeting, we would need something to present. Is that correct, Mike? As far as those limits, those amounts?
If you want to do your first adoption at the next regular meeting, then yeah, we'll need the amounts. I mean, that would be part of the motion at that meeting, and that'd be the first adoption.
I'll let you know as soon as possible, Chairman.
Okay.
I just want to take a look at a couple of things, and I'll let you know. I'll call you tomorrow and let you know about that. If that's okay. That's all right. Then that way we'll have something going for that next meeting. I know time is of the essence with this stuff.
Right. So at our next meeting, it would be helpful just to keep things in sequence, to know what those thresholds are, so that we can at least announce that, advertise it, and it may push beyond. If it's next meeting, it may push beyond, that subsequent meeting. It'll happen when it happens, but I think it's important that we go ahead and at least address the 1965 thresholds are probably not very efficient or very adequate for what we need to deal with today. So whatever the new numbers are, we'll get to that. Is that acceptable to everybody? Okay.
Yes. Just one question I had is, do we have anything that we can look at as far as what other counties have done, or is this something that most counties have done or have not done, or maybe, Mike, is it, do we have any data at all? I know you said you got this from the school district. So.
Yes, sir. To be honest, I don't know what other county charters say. I know at least on the school side, and I suspect on the county side too, some of them don't contain those limits on the chairman at all. They just leave it up to the Board of Commissioners to do that or not in its discretion.
But understand that the purchasing policy would still be in place at this point, which is what our next item would be. So no matter what we decide here, the purchasing policy will set those thresholds in and of itself.
Before we move on to that, though, I guess I've got a question, or at least a clarification. I think that upper $100,000 limit might. I'll ask the attorney if please correct me if I'm wrong, but does not that align with state policy for Georgia Public Works construction law for bidding those types of items? My point being is, I would very rarely would assume we would have an expenditure over that amount that is not a construction project, which would require us to fall under the Georgia procurement law anyway. So that to me is a good threshold to kind of establish ourselves with state law.
That's everything Commissioner Doster said is correct. That's the threshold at which you'd have to do seal bids and board vote for a construction project anyway.
Okay. Well, I'll entertain anything that, if I can offer any information, and if the commissioners will be at least considering the thresholds, if they feel those are appropriate, or whatever amount needs to be considered, please let me know so that we can establish this and start our, at perhaps our next meeting, which is going to be May 4th, we can go ahead and put that out and start this process at least, okay? We're good with that? Okay. Our next item is considering the amendments to our purchasing policy. You have 3 pages of amendments. The pages that follow that were of the original document so that you would have a reference to see what the changes, you know, were being made or being suggested. Again, these are all, I can't say these are all housekeeping. Some of them are, but the threshold, when you look at the different sections, we're trying to align ourselves here with the changes necessary to be able to go out and bid projects or to purchase items. As it stands right now, we're handcuffed. We're having to go out for seal bids on items that are, relatively speaking, a lower threshold. And it really ties our hands. I have a roof, as an example, on our criminal investigation division building that needs to be replaced. The approximate cost is going to be about $20,000. I have to go out for seal bid as it stands, whereas I can get 3 bids within about a week, less than a week. If the county can move on that, I can fix that roof. It is leaking, and we have election equipment in it. But those are the types of things. Our thresholds have been set where they are for so long, and we're just finding that you can't operate, you can't, you know, day to day, it's difficult to make decisions and make the corrections without having to wait on a meeting schedule to let that play out. So some of these are addressing that. Some of these are addressing, there are a number of exemptions under our purchasing policy. Changing a bank, which we recently looked at, we were able to do that, but at the same time, what I'm asking though is for all of those items under the exemptions, we purchase fuel in bulk. Sometimes it's important to be able to act when that price drops and when the, you know, when it's available. Certainly right now is a perfect example of being able to make a blanket purchase for those items and seize. We just purchased fuel at $1.16 a gallon for the county. I think we'd all appreciate that's a pretty good rate. We need the authorization. We have that, and we do that through our current system. What I'm asking for though is the exemptions to our vetting process though needs to change so that we can act a little bit more responsively and try to, you know, capitalize on those things. So you have in front of you the amendments to the purchasing policy and the source document. So I'll leave that at this point and just ask if anybody, if you want to make a motion at this point, we'll entertain a motion to change, or if there are questions regarding any of the changes or amendments that need to be addressed.
Chairman, I'm just trying to, under the banking service and insurance services, it says currently listed under a certain section. Is that the only thing that's changing is we're moving this into the exemption section?
That is correct. There was
Okay, so we're not changing any of
there
that.
was nothing that addressed it prior. And all we're trying to do is list that as an obvious exemption that we could use. There was no reference to it at all before. You're correct.
Okay.
These are all under section 2-246. These are all additions that previously were just unaddressed.
Is there a motion on the table yet?
There is not. I'm awaiting a motion to approve, disapprove, do something with it.
I'll make the motion to approve, and then I'll just go ahead and caveat that I have some questions or concerns about a couple of them, and I'll come back to that for discussion at the proper time.
I have a motion to approve.
I'll second so he can ask his questions.
I have a second from Commissioner Strickland. Okay. Discussion then. Questions?
Under the exemptions, the proposed exemptions on 246, I do not take any exceptions to what are listed except number 3 and 4. I think those are, I guess, in my opinion, those are two services that that should be pretty tightly considered, and I'm just not sure if that's I'm comfortable with just the chair and maybe the chief financial officer or someone else just taking the lead without full disclosure to the board. I mean, I understand that due diligence may have to happen, getting quotes and those kind of things, but I'm especially with the insurance services. So I'm just I have reservations with those two items, number 3 and 4, 5 through 10. I have no reservations.
I would have to agree with Commissioner Doster. I'm in the same boat. Feel the same way about that.
So as it stands right now, we have no provision to address those at all, just to be clear on that. So how it was conducted in the absence of that was the chair and the chief financial officer did make that call, because at that time there was no restriction on banking services. Insurance services, those get brought before the commission as it stands right now for vote. The commissioners vote on our casualty. Mr. Dan Horn has appeared before the board on a number of occasions. Our health insurance through right now, ESI is Matt Bidwell has appeared before the board. So they still, I guess what I'm trying to say is they still appear before you as a board to act on that. What we're asking for is there a need for a seal bid on that? That's the question.
You know, I like the way they come in and talk to us, and you know, whatever way we can do to list it as that under insurance services and kind of make the banking services match up with that would be my hope, that we could figure that out. You know, not having a banking service, I understand that completely, a section before, but going forward, I would like to, because I like the way we do the insurance services, because people get a chance to hear about what we're talking about, and that kind of thing. I would like to see that happen if at all possible. I don't know what the rest of the board wishes.
I don't think the seal bid process is necessary because there's a lot of other factors other than price.
Would be, but that's where I stand.
So with respect to items in 3 and 4, just to go back to Commissioner Doster, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that these decisions, to my knowledge, have not been made. Even the decision to move our banking operations was brought before the board and was vetted. The only difference being the service was not, let me back up. The decision to look into different banking options was brought before the board. The actual numbers and everything, quite honestly, was a process primarily by the chairman and the chief financial officer. And if I guess if it's the board's decision to have that vetted by the Board of Commissioners, should it in the future changing banks or whatever, the question here is whether or not it should be through seal bids or a different process. So I don't know that seal bids is the way. I'm struggling with how to figure out how to do that through seal bids.
If I understand the conversation now, the differences between 3 and 4, what I'm hearing you say is to eliminate the requirement of the seal bid process. You've just mentioned that insurance services still come back to the board for approval, but under number 3, under banking services, about midway through the paragraph, it says without the necessity of the formal sealed bid process or formal board action. Maybe that's my hang up, is the or formal board action. If due diligence work needs to be done and then a recommendation to the board, I'm fine with that. I just want to be careful. I'm just thinking for a long time in the future. There may be circumstances that are different that I think the constituents would want their elected officials to take, not just one person or one person and a staff person. So maybe that's the part of my true hang up, is the formal board action, formal board action under banking services midway through.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with taking away the formal sealed bid process. I'm kind of with Tripp on that. I've got no problem with that. But if we could match that up to where, it says without necessity of formal sealed bid process, and then I like the part on number 4 where it says the results of brokers' efforts shall be presented to Madison County Board for decision and action. If there's somewhere we could do that up here, chairman brings it to board for decision and action, or presented to. I don't know if I kind of feel like that's where Commissioner Doster's at too. Maybe that would cover what we're trying to. I think we're on the same page here, but that's what I would think might fix the problem.
So can we see if we can fix number 3 as far as the language at the end of number 3? That seems to be the.
I'll make the substitute motion that we adopt as presented with a strike of or formal board action in the middle of the banking services paragraph.
At the middle or the end?
Very beginning.
The middle.
It's in there twice.
Okay. I see it. Without the necessity of formal banking service. Okay.
And I'm making the distinction that the strike is the movement of the depository of institution county funds. The last sentence talks specifically about credit cards. And to me, I don't need to feel like the board needs to approve the appropriate staff to get credit cards. I think I'm comfortable leaving that with the.
Okay.
Right.
And I feel like the credit cards come with the whatever banking institution we're with, usually anyway. That's how it's been in the past. So, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Time to.
I agree with that.
So I have a substitute motion then to approve with a strike through on item number 3, banking services, of the end of the first sentence that says or formal board action. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I'll second that substitute motion.
I have a motion and a second. Commissioner Allen. Any other comment or question on that? This is good. I welcome this. I appreciate it. Shall we vote on it? So the motion is to approve the amendments for our purchasing policy. With the strike through on section 2-246 exemptions, item number 3, our additional comment will delete the end of the first sentence that says or formal board action. If that makes sense to y'all, we'll go to Commissioner Kirk for the vote.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Okay, very good. We're on to item number 8, considering approving recommended bid for historic courthouse roof replacement. All right. You all have the bids for our roofing replacement, the sealed bids. We had 3 vendors that provided bids. We had Bone Dry Roofing, we had Skyline Construction Services, and we had DeLaurier Roofing. I'll share with you that DeLaurier Roofing did not provide a bid bond, nor did they provide an E-Verify affidavit. So our 2 considerations are Bone Dry Roofing and Skyline Construction Services. The recommendation from our Public Works Director, Alan Lipczynski, was, and I will share with you, I'm in agreement with him, just having looked at all these. His recommendation was with Bone Dry Roofing Company with a bid price of $218,650. And with that,
John, I'd like to make a motion we accept that bid.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
John, I think I'm going to abstain from this one.
Okay. Okay. So I have a
Given the
motion.
nature of my business.
And I understand. So, and there was no special consideration given with respect to materials on this at all. So, but the motion and the second is to approve Bone Dry Roofing Company at a price or a bid price of $218,650. Any other discussion or comments on that?
Just for my knowledge, and I think the general public, could you just give a short description of the effort and the time frame, what they're actually going to do and when we can expect work to begin and finish?
I can. Give me 1 second. In your question, Commissioner Doster, with respect to Bone Dry, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So Bone Dry Roofing Company provided all the required documents, securities or sureties. They met every spec, or they agreed to every spec in the contract. And I'm looking here, and I know Mr. Ricky Helby's online here with Bone Dry. But I'm going back here to, there we go. I got it right here. First of all, for that price, they have figured a project date or a duration that would take somewhere between 35 and 45 days. I understand that to be weather days. We also have a provision in there that has included a certain amount of money, $8,700 to be exact, to repair mortar joints on the chimneys, which was a requirement. They suggested in their bid that once the scaffolding is in place, that the inspection would be a little bit more, or the inspections would be a little bit more accessible, given the lifts and the scaffolding, and that amount could increase or decrease accordingly. They did furnish a 5-year workmanship warranty with that, which was the same with the other bid. And again, have met pretty much every requirement. And I know you have, well, let me back up. I don't know that you have in front of you the specs of their bid. And I could certainly go through each one of them, but I'm suggesting that they have met or exceeded. We asked for a minimum 26 gauge metal. They provided a 24 gauge in their bid. So
Mr. Chairman, I'll take on face value that they've met the required specifications. I was just curious. Sounds like it's going to take about 2 months to complete. Do we know when they might try to mobilize? I was just trying to see what time we might see activity.
And with that, I'll share this with you, and I'll even open up the comment to Mr. Helvey if he's still on. But what I would suggest to you is that we have asked our county folks, and we're looking at removing certain vegetation around that courthouse, which would facilitate the roof repair. We have trees, we have shrubs, we have other things over there that we're going to have to remove. We have already sought, I don't want to say remedy, we've already sought a fix for that. And my guess is, Ricky, are you still online with us?
Yes, sir. Sorry, I had you muted because my kids were in the background.
Okay. Well, I tell you what. So Commissioner Doster just asking, if given the go-ahead, what kind of timeline would you foresee on this project?
We generally figure starting in 2 to 3 weeks from the time a project is awarded. As you all know, our current climate is pushing lead times on some materials. I was waiting on the official approval, so I have not dug into trying to procure materials yet. So the next couple of days, probably by the end of the week, I can have a firm start date. We generally have our scheduling meetings on Wednesday afternoons, so I'll bring this up and we will get y'all a date probably by Thursday.
The 35 to 45 days duration, does that seem that's still in place though? Is that correct?
Yeah, once we get started, we don't see it taking longer than that. Our only unknown at the moment is just procuring materials.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Any other questions on that?
Thank y'all.
So I have a motion and a second to approve the bid from Bone Dry Roofing Company. Any further comment? The vote then is to Commissioner Doster.
Yes.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes.
And Commissioner Kirk, I'm going to assume that was a yes. I can read lips. Your mic's muted. There you go. Very good. We're good now. I got you now. Loud and clear.
Yeah, my key that I was using quit working on me for some reason.
Very good. Our next item of business is to consider approving a recommended bid for our 2020 LMIG paving projects. The bid opening was on 4/15. I believe each of you has a copy of that as well. I would, at this point, consider a motion for a bid or for an award of that bid. And I can share with you that the Public Works Director has recommended the bid from Garrett Paving on this one. It is the minimum bid or the lowest bid. It is the bid of the, not that it was the sole consideration, but they previously have performed work in the county, and that was the recommendation. That amount, let me get to it here real quick, was for $1,156,542. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve, disapprove, do your desire on that LMIG consideration.
I'll make a motion to approve Garrett Paving.
Second.
I'll second that.
I have a motion from Commissioner Kirk, a second, I believe the first one from Commissioner Doster. And is there any discussion on those figures?
I'm curious if you have any time frame of when these guys would start.
As was the case with last year, once given the go-ahead, they are local, and it is usually weather permitting. So spring, very, very quickly, very near time frame, they would, and I don't know if I've got anybody on with Garrett Paving at this point. I don't believe I did. But I know that in the past they have been pretty responsive, and like I said, their earliest opportunity when they have the weather, they go ahead and commit to this. And
last year we got everything done by the end of July, maybe.
Correct. We were a little later last year in approving the bid as well.
That's true.
So this year, again, we're right out of the chute. So this is end of April, given our circumstance right now. You know, I can't speak for them, but I can certainly. I got to believe that these all of these are very closely tied together as far as availability. Larger company, we had C.W. Matthews, All About Asphalt, Stratton and Sons, Pittman Construction, and Garrett Paving all bid on this. So I believe it would be late spring, early summer on the start date on these. We do know that our best product comes as soon as the weather needs to be a little bit warmer for this construction to start. Any other questions on that? All right. The vote is to approve recommended bid by Garrett Paving for our 2020 LMIG paving projects. The vote is to Commissioner Allen.
Yes.
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 Very good.
Getting good.
All right. Folks, how improper would it be to ask for about a 5, maybe a 3-minute break here? You all are at your house, but I'm here, and I need about 3 minutes. Two maybe, if you approve it quick. But okay, I've got a thumbs up from
Approved.
Ruth Ann. Thank you, Ruth Ann. I appreciate that. Would y'all give me about 2 or 3 minutes and we can reconvene and knock this out?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Thank you all. I'll be right back with you. It's tough getting old. Okay. I assure you that 20 seconds of that was hand washing. So, okay. All right. We're back. Item number 10, considering accepting Republican Party nominee Nathan Owens to fill a vacant position on the Board of Elections. We have
Is
let's
Trip back
see.
with us, Chairman? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Say
He's
again?
got the poor man cover going on there. He's got the poor man stop video there. I was just making sure Trip was back with us.
Oh, okay. Give him a second here. While we're waiting on him,
I'm back.
there he is. There he is.
Cheese and crackers I had to go after.
So, Nathan Owens is the nominee to fill the Republican Party position on our elections board. Diane Satterfield, are you out there? There she is. Can you unmute your mic? Bottom left corner.
Yep.
There. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay. For those that may or may not know Nathan, could you offer anything as far as what they might need to know or want to know about Nathan, who he is, anything about him?
I can, but he's also on the call if you would like for him to.
Well, if he is, I tell you, well, it's
Whichever. I can.
please, there he is. I've got him. I see him now.
Yeah.
Uh,
I can start and he can fill in the blanks.
There you go. If you could, that'd be great for us, please.
So Nathan is our treasurer. So we believe he's very honest, of course, or we wouldn't choose him for that. He's very responsible. If he tells you he's going to do something, he'll do it. His job makes him work crazy hours. So at our July 4th parade, he offered to put up the tent. He worked all day and he came in the middle of the night and put the tent up. So to me, if you work with volunteers, it's not always easy to get people who are willing to do above and beyond sometimes. So he's one of those. So that's what I can say about him.
Nathan, anything you can add?
Yes, sir. I live at 231 Dixon Drive here in Danielsville. I purchased the home back in December of 2015. As Diane said, I own and operate a professional bail bonding company. I do service the Madison County area along with Athens, Clarke, and Northeast Georgia. I graduated from Franklin County. I actually lived in Madison County for a few years when I was younger. I attended Danielsville Elementary School and kindergarten and first grade, moved to Franklin County, graduated, moved to Athens, went to college at the University of Georgia, and then began my career in bail bonding service. I started my company 3 years ago, and I operate it here out of my home in Madison County.
Well, thank you for being with us here tonight, too. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman, may I ask a quick question?
Please.
Mr. Owens, when did you graduate as a lion?
2007.
What year did you 2007. I got you.
Yes,
well,
sir.
It's nice to see young folks, because I'm usually the youngest one around. And so I graduated in 2000, so I'm still old compared to you, I guess. But anyway, I was just curious. And if Republicans want him in there, I'm all for it.
Very good. Well, I appreciate it. Like I said, I just want to make sure everybody had a chance, and I appreciate you being on so that they know who they're voting on. It's important these days.
It's true.
So with that, I'll entertain a motion then to approve or accepting the Republican Party nominee, Nathan Owens, to fill the position on our Board of Elections.
So moved.
And a
Second.
motion and a second from
Motion to
Commissioner Kirk.
approve.
Okay. I got a bunch of motions here. We're good. We're good.
Good.
Any further comment or questions here? All right. Vote is to Commissioner Strickland.
Yes.
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 Thank you all. And thank you, Nathan, for
Thank you.
participating too.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. All right, we're down to our last business item. And that is to consider approving a proclamation for naming April 19th through 25th, 2020 National Library Week. And I know Jennifer's still on, but normally she'd be here and she'd be presenting her case here, but we appreciate so very much Jennifer. I actually appreciate the board and I appreciate all that they do. Been a little quiet over there recently. It's tough to draw people when you can't draw people, when you can't allow them to gather. But every other month of the year, we sure appreciate what you do. And what I'm going to do, and I'll let you have the floor here very briefly, Jennifer,
Okay.
if you'd like. And then what I'm not going to do is each commissioner has the proclamation. I've talked to every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm going to do is give you the floor for a minute, let you say what you need to, and then they'll vote on it. How about that?
Okay, that sounds
Go
great.
ahead. Go ahead.
Thanks. Well, I said all my stuff about virtual programming at the beginning. One thing I left out is that every weekday at 10:30 on every Athens Regional Library System Library's Facebook page, there is a live story time from our children's staff throughout the region. Carly's featured every other Friday, which is our children's person. But if you have small children, every day at 10:30 during the week, there will be a story time from your local library regional system on our Facebook pages. And also, I just wanted to say that I have two staff attending this meeting as well. Maureen Bishop is our newest employee. She has a master's in library science, so we're very happy to have her on board. She worked about 3 weeks before we had to close, and we're all working remotely now. So I was glad that she can attend. And Sharon Lentz is a substitute and has been a part-time employee in the past. She's been with us for about 6 or 7 years, and she's showing her support in the Zoom meeting I see. So I just want to say thanks to them for being here, and thanks to y'all for y'all's support of the library as our county commissioners.
And we thank you. And I did see those names join the meeting, and I was wondering who they were. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And we do have, and we'll present this to you, okay? With just, for tonight's purposes, we'll go ahead and approve. Well, I can't approve. I'm gonna ask the board to consider approving this proclamation naming April 19th through 25th, 2020 National Library Week. And with that, I'll entertain that motion, folks.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
And Commissioner
There we go.
Doster, and I didn't catch the second one, but I think it was one of the other four.
That's right.
Okay, it's Leah.
Miss Betty. Okay, okay.
Okay, I'll give it to him. So we have a motion and a second. And with that, I'm just going to go straight to the vote, and this will be to Commissioner Bettis.
Yes.
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 Commissioner Strickland.
Yes.
There we go. Thank you all
Thank you,
so
Jennifer.
much.
Yeah.
And thank you,
said-
Jennifer. We appreciate everything too.
Yep.
Very good. All right, we're on to the last few items in our meeting here. Roads updates. Anybody have anything at all that I need to pass on? Or we are scheduled Wednesday of this week to repair New Haven, the pipe that was washed out under New Haven Church Road. Harry Paul's will be next, and Lake Deerfield after that. We have been waiting on the actual poured concrete to complete those. Our guys are out cutting the grass roadside left and right. We'll open it up to the weekends for them to catch up to. So anybody have any specific concern, any road?
Mr. Chairman, on Irvin Kirk Road, I have an ongoing issue at Calvin Rousey's house. There's a private drive that the dirt washes down and it collects around about 4 mailboxes there, and it diverts the water into his yard. And it's getting pretty close to flooding the barn there. And I've been by several times when it was raining. We've tried to fix it once, and it's not fixed. And there's also a place at Rick Ryder's on Crawford Lawn where the ditch is overflowing and running into his yard, and he's built on a pad and it's flooding his house. So they've worked on it a little bit, but it's still coming out of the ditches.
All right. I've got those too. I'll have them take a look at those. Okay.
Thank you.
And also on the Macedonia Church Road, which is the road I live on, but really the spots are up there more in the Trips district. But when you come down to where Elaine Brown, which is my mother-in-law, lives, there's a huge pothole right there in that lane that actually somebody hit the other day, and I think they dented their wheel a little bit because they pulled up in the driveway, and I had to sort of listen to that, and I assured them that we'd try to get that fixed. And then on up that road near where Keith Lord lives, there's another pothole. I know that some of them have been fixed, but you know, for whatever reason, the road is, you know, it's really bad in no shape. So I don't know what we can do, but if we can do anything, if it's nothing but fill it with something so there's not just such a drastic pothole.
I got it. I'll have them take a look at that one too. Any urgent matters? All right. And at this point, we're at the statements and remarks from commissioners and statements and remarks from citizens. I'm sorry. We'll get to the commissioners here in a second. Is there anybody online that would like to make a comment on any matter? And at this point, I would ask you, you can certainly unmute your mic and we'll entertain that comment, but please keep it as close as you can, about 3 minutes if you could, please.
Can I say something real quick?
I got Diane Satterfield. Okay, go ahead, Diane.
This is just for Jennifer and the library. I miss them so much. I'm one of their best customers, and I've probably built a wing onto their library. But I miss them very much, and thank you for all you do.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, and this is Drago Dosadovich. I just want to, first of all, thank the board for supporting the bill to ban the burning of railroad ties in the state of Georgia. Your support of that bill helped it get through the House with a vote of 163 to nothing. And it showed how much resistance there is to this practice of burning railroad ties. The second thing I want to mention is that you've done a great job with this video presentation of the board meeting, and I'm happy to be part of it. I like the casual atmosphere of it. It's really gone well, I think. And the last thing I want to mention is I'm still concerned about this $1 million escrow that the county should take and the IDA should use to pay off part of their loan. for the water system. And I think the board should look into that, make sure that that money is spent on paying off the loan amount. And again, thank you all for taking part of this. It's been wonderful.
Thank you. Anybody else? Commissioners, your turn. Anything?
Yeah, Commissioner, if you don't mind, I'd like to go first. I wanted just to say thank you to all the citizens out there and all their efforts to try to shelter in place as much as possible. I know people are essential. 26% of folks can stay at home. The rest of them can't. They don't have that. They don't even, they don't have the opportunity. It's hard out here in rural America with our broadband situations and things like that. So I just want to say thank you for everyone and to hope that they'll hang in there with us with this shelter in place until we get the go ahead, so we don't go backwards. And we are Madison County, and we are very strong people. We talk about it all the time, and we will get through it together. And but we just got to hang in there a little bit longer, and just want to hopefully give everybody a little bit of strength and some prayers going out to everybody to just hang in there. That's about all I wanted to say. So I sure do appreciate everybody, and it's nice to be a Madison County citizen these days.
Very good.
I guess I'll go ahead since I'm next in line there. But Drago and Ruth Ann, thank you for having patience. I wish this, of course, everybody wishes that this COVID-19 virus hadn't fallen upon us, and we'd be further along with the state legislature, and it would have passed the Senate, and we'd have been on with this thing, and there'd be no burning of cross ties. I realize that's going on right now while we're sheltering, and I'm sorry for that. And sorry, I want to apologize to everybody down there in Colbert that that's still going on. And like Lee said, thank you for doing your job and sheltering in place, and we will we'll make it through this, because we're, like he said, we are strong people, and that's all I can say. Thank you.
All right.
I would like to say one other thing, picking up on what Tripp said. It has been really hard. We've been sheltering in place in our homes with GRP for quite some time, and we had a lot of momentum going, and we were hoping they'd stop burning the creosote. So I know my neighbors, Cheryl and Mac, are watching this now, and my neighbor Ted Fowler, they live closer to the plant than we do, and we have been suffering. Now we're home 24/7. Leanne Jones, that lives in Colbert and has a chronic pulmonary disease. Now she's forced to stay home from her job at UGA. And anyway, we're just hoping the legislature goes back into session and moves House Bill 857. The Senate's got to pass it. We hope that happens. We hope we don't have to wait another year. Anyway, thank you. And your support, the board's support, meant a lot. We took your resolution to the Capitol. We gave it to the governor. So it meant a lot. Thank you.
All right. All righty. I don't think, unless our counselor thinks there's a reason to do executive session, and I hope there's not, because I hadn't figured it out yet on this.
I'll give you a pass this time.
Woo! I appreciate that.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. Well, I tell you what, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn, but before I do, I want to thank Chris Bradbury and Thomas Smallwood for helping us out tonight, too.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I'd say thank you to everybody, and everybody stay safe, and we'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Derek. All right, folks, we're adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Be safe.
Bye, everybody.
All right.